All right, so today we're deep diving into brain health with Dr. Daniel Amen, from that Rich Roll podcast interview.
Oh, yeah, fascinating stuff.
This guy, he is like obsessed with brains.
Yeah, he is.
He scans them to see how they're working, which I find so cool.
Yeah, that SPECT imaging, it's
Yeah.
pretty amazing looking at those blood flow and activity patterns.
Right, and you were saying how things like past injuries or even sleep habits can really show up.
It's crazy how clearly they show up, actually.
So like that old saying about burning the candle at both ends. It's not just a metaphor, huh?
Maybe not.
I'm suddenly really curious, like what my brain would look like.
Oh, yeah.
But, all right, before we get carried away with brain envy,
Brain envy.
Dr. Amen, he lays out 11 major risk factors that can affect our brains, and he packages them all neatly in this acronym, Bright Minds.
It's such a good way to remember them and such a good framework for understanding, what we're up against.
Right, and then more importantly, what we can do about it.
Exactly.
So let's unpack these Bright Minds risks.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, B is for blood flow.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Amen says low blood flow is like a canary in the coal mine for Alzheimer's.
Yeah, think of your brain as a garden, and if that blood flow is weak, like your garden hose, your plants, which are in this case your brain cells, they're not going to thrive.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Because that's where exercise comes in, right?
Yes.
Like turning up the water pressure, you get that blood pumping, nourishing your brain.
So all those years of gym class actually paid off.
Right, yeah.
But okay,
Yeah.
Dr. Amen also mentioned beets. How do those help?
So beets, they've got nitrates in them, which help to dilate blood vessels, improve circulation. It's like giving your garden hose a wider nozzle. So he even suggests ginkgo biloba as a supplement to further support blood flow.
Beets and ginkgo. I'm
Yeah.
taking notes.
Jot it down. What about R?
So R, that stands for retirement and aging, but more specifically, it points to high iron levels as a risk factor.
Really?
Yeah, it might be surprising, but iron can actually speed up the aging process.
Like iron overload, is that like a common thing? It's more common than you think, especially as we age.
Interesting.
Dr. Amen personally donates blood twice a year to keep his iron in check.
Oh, wow.
It's definitely something to talk to your doctor about.
I'm starting to realize there's a lot more to brain health than I thought.
There's a lot to it.
Okay, on to I.
I is for inflammation.
Okay.
And this is where things get really interesting. Did you know that gum disease is actually linked to brain disease?
Wait, so you're telling me my dentist is secretly your brain doctor?
Well, not exactly, but the connection is real.
Okay.
Inflammation anywhere in the body, including your gums, can impact the brain.
Wow.
So that flossing routine, think of it as brain training too.
Noted.
Yeah.
Okay, G has got to be for genetics, right?
It is.
Does that mean we're doomed from the start?
Not at all. G is for genetics.
Mm.
But Dr. Amen, he emphasizes that while we can't change our genes, we can influence how they express themselves. Knowledge is power in this case.
So, for example, knowing if you have a family history of Alzheimer's, particularly carrying the APOE4 gene, doesn't seal your fate, but it can help you make more informed choices.
Precisely, it allows you to be proactive about lifestyle factors that can mitigate those genetic risks. It's like having the blueprint for your house. You can't change the foundation,
Right.
but you can decide how to build the rest.
That's a good analogy.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to H.
All right, H stands for head trauma. And it's not just about those major concussions.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Even those seemingly minor bumps on the head, they can have a cumulative effect on the brain over time.
Like that time I walked into that low-hanging beam?
Oh, no.
Maybe I should have gotten that checked out.
Well,
But seriously, how much damage can those little bumps really do?
each impact can disrupt those delicate connections in our brain. It's like shaking a snow globe.
Oh, okay.
The more you shake it, the longer it takes for things to settle. So it's crucial to protect our heads
Yeah.
and seek medical attention, when needed.
So it's not just football players who need to worry about brain injuries.
Exactly. It's something we should all be mindful of. Good point. Whether we're playing sports or riding bikes or just, navigating our daily lives, awareness is key.
All right, let's move on to T. I'm guessing that's for toxins?
You got toxins?
Yeah.
And it's all about being aware of the chemicals we encounter in our everyday lives.
Okay.
From those cleaning supplies to personal care products.
Right.
Many of those can be harmful to the brain.
So what can we do about it? Should I be wearing a hazmat suit to clean my bathroom?
Well, you don't have to go that far,
Yeah.
but Dr. Amen recommends using the Think Dirty app. Have you heard of that?
No.
That's great. It allows you to scan product barcodes and see how they rank in terms of toxicity. It's like having a personal bodyguard for your brain,
That's cool.
helping you make informed choices about the products you're using.
Wow, technology to the rescue again. I'm adding that to my download list right now.
It's a good one.
Okay, we're making our way through the list. What about M?
Okay, M stands for mental health, which is so crucial. And Dr. Amen points out that depression, particularly in women, can double the risk of Alzheimer's. It's a reminder that caring for our mental well-being, it's not a luxury. It's a necessity for brain health.
So it's like that saying, a healthy mind and a healthy body.
Yeah,
But it goes both ways.
absolutely. Mental and physical health. They're interconnected, addressing things like anxiety and depression. It's a brain protective measure. It's like tending to your mental garden, weeding out those negative thoughts, nurturing the positive ones.
Okay, I'm starting to see a gardening theme here. I like it.
Keep going with it.
What does the second I stand for?
So the second I represents immunity and infection, specifically highlighting the importance of vitamin D levels.
Okay.
Dr. Amen, he recommends aiming for levels above 40 for optimal brain function.
So a little sunshine or a good vitamin D supplement can make a big difference.
You can think of it as giving your brain's immune system a boost, helping it fight off anything that could compromise its health.
All right, on to N. What does that stand for?
N is for neurohormones. This is all about getting your hormones checked regularly. Dr. Amen mentioned a worrying trend of low testosterone in young men.
Yeah, I've been hearing more about that lately. Is there a reason it's becoming more common?
Well, there are a few potential culprits. Head trauma, even from years ago, can disrupt hormonal balance. And remember those toxins we talked about?
Right.
They can mess with hormones, too. It's like a delicate ecosystem. And disruptions can have those cascading consequences.
That's a good reminder to be mindful of what we're exposing ourselves to. Okay. 2 letters left. What about D?
All right, D stands for diabesity.
Diabesity.
It refers to the impact of being overweight or obese on brain health. And Dr. Amen's research shows that as weight goes up, brain size and function go down.
I've heard about the link between obesity and cognitive decline, but I didn't realize it could actually affect brain size.
It can. It's a serious concern.
That's scary.
Think of it this way. Excess weight puts a strain on the entire body, including the brain. It's like trying to run a marathon carrying extra baggage.
Okay, S has got to be for sleep, right?
You got to sleep. And Dr. Amen, he emphasizes just how crucial sleep is for brain health. We all know we need sleep, but it's often the first thing to go when life gets busy.
I am so guilty of sacrificing sleep.
I think we all are.
But how much is enough? Is there like a magic number?
It varies from person to person, but Dr. Amen, he recommends aiming for enough sleep to wake up feeling truly rested and refreshed.
Okay.
Not just hitting the bare minimum to function. Think of it as giving your brain the time it needs to recharge and reset.
So no more hitting the snooze button 5 times.
Maybe just once or twice.
Duly noted.
Okay.
Wow, we just covered all 11 Bright Minds risk factors. That's a lot to take in, but it feels empowering to have this knowledge.
I agree. It's not about feeling overwhelmed, but rather about understanding that we have more control over our brain health than we might realize.
And that's where SPECT imaging comes in, right? Can you tell us more about how that works?
Yeah, so SPECT imaging, it's a type of brain scan that uses a tiny amount of a radioactive tracer to measure blood flow and activity. Think of it like a weather map for your brain, showing which areas are stormy and which are calm.
A weather map for the brain. I like that. But you mentioned radioactive tracer. Is it safe?
It's very safe. The amount of tracer used is incredibly small, and it's eliminated from the body quickly. The benefits of the information gained far outweigh any minimal risks.
So you can actually see the difference between a healthy brain and a brain that's struggling.
Yes, and the differences can be quite striking. Dr. Amen has a massive database of brain scans, and he's found that specific patterns are associated with ADHD, anxiety, depression, even Alzheimer's. It's like having a personalized roadmap for your brain health.
That's incredible. It seems like SPECT imaging could be a game changer for diagnosis and treatment.
It can be incredibly valuable, helping to target treatment more effectively and personalize interventions. It's like having a behind-the-scenes look at how your brain is functioning, which can be invaluable for making informed decisions about your health.
Speaking of ADHD, Dr. Amen mentioned that about half his patients at the Amen clinics have it.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Can you tell me a bit more about what ADHD is and how it's diagnosed?
Okay, so ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder.
Right?
And is characterized by those persistent patterns of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity that interfere with daily life. But here's the thing. Dr. Amen doesn't see it as a one-size-fits-all diagnosis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he actually identifies 7 types of ADHD, each with his own unique set of challenges.
7 types.
Yeah.
I thought ADHD was just about, being hyperactive and having trouble focusing.
That's the common perception, but it's much more nuanced than that.
Okay.
So, for example, there's classic ADHD, which fits that traditional mold.
Okay.
But there's also inattentive ADHD, where individuals, they struggle with focus, but they aren't necessarily hyperactive. They might seem spacey or daydreamy.
So someone could have ADHD without being hyperactive at all.
Exactly.
Interesting. What are some of the other types?
Well, there's overfocus ADHD, where the difficulty lies in shifting attention.
Okay.
These individuals, they get stuck on thoughts or tasks and might be prone to holding grudges.
Oh, wow.
And then there's limbic ADHD, which combines those classic ADHD traits with moodiness and negativity, often with symptoms of depression.
So it's almost like ADHD with a layer of added emotional sensitivity.
Exactly. And then there are types associated with specific causes like temporal lobe ADHD, often linked to head injuries, with symptoms like mood swings and memory problems.
Oh, wow. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I can see how understanding the specific type of ADHD would be crucial for finding the right treatment approach.
Absolutely.
What are the other two types?
Okay, so we have ring of fire ADHD, where the brain is overactive, leading to anxiety, restlessness, and sensitivity to stimuli. And lastly, there's anxious ADHD, where anxiety is the dominant feature, alongside the inattentiveness and hyperactivity.
So it really is a spectrum, with each type having its own unique set of characteristics.
It really is.
How do you even begin to figure out which type someone has?
Well, a thorough evaluation is key, including a clinical interview, gathering personal history, and potentially neuropsychological testing, and even brain imaging like SPECT.
It sounds like getting a proper diagnosis is crucial, not just slapping on a generic ADHD label.
Absolutely. It's about understanding the individual's specific challenges and tailoring treatment accordingly.
Right.
To meet their needs.
Dr. Amen also mentioned 5 homework symptoms of ADHD.
Oh, yeah.
What are those?
These are signs that often pop up in everyday life, particularly with schoolwork. So the first one is a short attention span, but it's not for everything.
Okay.
People with ADHD often struggle with those routine tasks, but can hyper-focus on things they find engaging.
So it's not a lack of attention. It's more about where that attention is directed.
Exactly. The second symptom is distractibility.
Okay.
It's like having a brain that's easily pulled in different directions, making it hard to filter out irrelevant information.
Like trying to focus on a conversation in a noisy room.
A perfect analogy. The third symptom is disorganization.
Okay.
Struggling with keeping things tidy, managing time, meeting deadlines. Think of it as a constant battle against mental clutter.
So procrastination would fall under that umbrella.
Absolutely. Procrastination is the fourth symptom, putting things off until the last minute, sometimes to the point of crisis.
And the fifth?
Impulsivity.
Okay.
This can manifest as blurting things out, interrupting others, making rash decisions, acting without thinking. It's like having a brain that's constantly in overdrive with the brakes not always working properly.
So if someone has at least 3 of these 5 symptoms, it's worth considering an evaluation for ADHD.
Absolutely. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Early intervention can make a huge difference in managing ADHD and preventing negative consequences down the road.
Dr. Emin also pointed out that concussions can be a cause of ADHD, not just genetics.
That's an important point. Head injuries, even those seemingly minor ones, can disrupt brain function and contribute to ADHD symptoms.
Right.
It's crucial to consider all potential factors during an evaluation.
It makes you realize how interconnected everything is when it comes to brain health.
It truly is a complex system, and understanding the interplay of various factors is essential for effective treatment.
Rich Roll, the podcast host, he also shared his own experience with ADHD.
Yeah, he did.
And how exercise became his coping mechanism.
It's powerful.
It seems like exercise can be a really powerful tool for managing ADHD symptoms.
Absolutely. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain. It boosts those feel-good neurochemicals like dopamine and norepinephrine and helps regulate mood. It's like a multi-pronged approach to supporting brain health.
It's fascinating how something as simple as moving our bodies can have such a profound impact on our brains.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
And Dr. Amen also mentioned the importance of finding work that you love if you have ADHD.
Yeah.
He stressed that engagement and motivation are key for people with ADHD to thrive.
He did. It's about finding that sweet spot where your passions align with your work.
Right.
Which benefits everyone, but especially those with ADHD.
When people with ADHD are engaged and interested, they can be incredibly focused and productive.
Absolutely. It's about finding the right environment and tasks that play to their strengths.
Now, besides focusing on adults, Dr. Amen also wrote a book about raising mentally strong kids.
He did.
So let's dive into that next. What are some of his key parenting principles?
All right, well, he starts by emphasizing the importance of parents taking care of their own mental health first.
Okay.
It's like putting on your own oxygen mask on an airplane before helping others.
Right.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
That's such a great analogy.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in taking care of everyone else and neglect our own needs, but it's not sustainable in the long run.
It's not. And he also stresses the importance of quality time with kids.
Mm.
He suggests spending at least 20 minutes a day doing something with them that they want to do without commands or questions.
Oh, wow.
Just pure connection.
Yeah.
It's about building that foundation of attachment and belonging.
That sounds lovely, but also challenging with our busy schedules.
Yeah.
Is 20 minutes really enough?
It might seem small, but those 20 minutes of focused attention can be incredibly powerful. It's about being fully present, listening and engaging with your child without distractions.
Right.
Think of it as a daily dose of love and connection for both of you.
I love that.
And he also talked about avoiding rescuing kids too much, letting them solve their own problems, even when it's inconvenient.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It's about stepping back and allowing them to struggle a bit to develop resilience and problem-solving skills.
Yeah.
It's tempting to jump in and fix everything, but it can rob them of the opportunity to learn and grow.
It's like teaching them to ride a bike.
Yeah,
You can hold on for a while, but eventually you have to let go and let them find their balance.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
about empowering them to become independent and capable individuals.
Okay, so we've covered the basics of Dr. Amen's approach to raising mentally strong kids.
Yeah, we have.
But teenagers are a whole different ballgame, right?
Oh, they are.
What advice does he offer for navigating those often turbulent years?
Well, he emphasizes the importance of supervision.
Oh, okay.
Even though teenagers naturally crave independence, it's about staying involved in their lives, knowing where they are, who they're with, what they're up to.
That makes sense. But teenagers are notorious for pushing back against any perceived invasion of their privacy. How do you balance that need for supervision with their desire for autonomy?
It's definitely a delicate dance, he suggests. Being firm but kind, setting clear boundaries and expectations while maintaining open communication and a supportive relationship.
Okay.
It's about letting them know you're there for them while still respecting their growing need for independence.
He also talked about the risks of social media and video games, how they're
Yes.
designed to be addictive and can negatively impact mental health.
Unfortunately, they are.
That's a tough one, especially in today's world where technology is so integrated into our lives.
It is a challenge, but Dr. Amen encourages parents to delay access to devices as long as possible
Okay.
and to set limits on screen time once they do have access. It's about creating healthy habits early on and emphasizing the importance of balance.
But how do you enforce those limits when so much of teenagers' social lives revolve around technology? It's not easy. But he suggests open and honest conversations about the addictive nature of these technologies. It's about educating them about the potential risks and empowering them to make informed choices about their technology use.
So it's not about banning technology altogether. It's about using it responsibly and mindfully.
Exactly. It's about finding that healthy balance and teaching our kids to do the same.
What advice does Dr. Amen give for parents who are concerned about their teenagers' mental health, especially if they see signs of depression?
He cautions against immediately jumping to medication. He recommends starting by evaluating their lifestyle, sleep, diet, exercise, screen time.
Okay.
Making positive changes in these areas can often have a significant impact on mood and mental health.
So ensuring they're getting enough sleep, eating nutritious foods, staying active, limiting those screen time binges.
Yes, it's about creating a foundation of physical and mental well-being and, of course, actively being involved in their lives,
Right.
spending quality time together, and truly listening to them without judgment.
And if those lifestyle changes aren't enough, then it might be time to seek professional help. He emphasizes the importance of finding a therapist who is a good fit for the teenager and can help them develop healthy coping mechanisms.
It sounds like there's a lot parents can do to support their children's mental health even during those challenging teenage years.
There is it. It all starts with creating a loving and supportive environment where they feel safe to talk about their struggles and know they can count on their parents for guidance and support.
Dr. Amen also shared some really interesting insights about the impact of early childhood trauma on mental health.
He did.
He mentioned something called the ACE score. What is that exactly?
So the ACE score, which stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, is a measure of childhood trauma.
Okay.
It includes things like abuse, neglect, and various forms of household dysfunction.
Wow.
Studies have shown a strong correlation between high ACE scores and a range of health problems, including mental health issues, chronic diseases, even a shorter lifespan.
That's pretty disturbing. So experiencing trauma in childhood can have lifelong consequences.
It can, but it's important to remember that it's not a life sentence. Dr. Amen highlighted effective therapies like EMDR and ISTDP, which can help individuals process and heal from past trauma.
So even if someone has experienced significant trauma, there's still hope for healing and recovery.
Absolutely. It's never too late to address past trauma and start building a healthier and happier future. There are resources and therapies available that can help people overcome those challenges and reclaim their lives.
That's a powerful message of hope. It seems like Dr. Amen's approach to mental health is all about taking a holistic view,
It is.
considering all aspects of a person's life and experiences.
That's precisely it. He believes mental health isn't just about the brain in isolation, it's about the whole person, their biology, psychology, social connections, and overall well-being.
It's a good reminder that we're all complex beings and there's no one-size-fits-all approach to mental health.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that there's always hope no matter what challenges we face.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into brain health so far. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling motivated to take better care of my brain.
Me too. It's about taking that first step and recognizing that we have the power to make a difference. Small changes can lead to big results.
One of the biggest takeaways for me is that we don't have to wait for problems to arise before taking action. Being proactive about brain health, just like we are with our physical health, can make a huge difference in the long run.
Absolutely. It's about making those daily choices that support our brain health, from what we eat to how we manage stress to the amount of sleep we get. It all adds up.
I'm also fascinated by the potential of SPECT imaging. It seems like a powerful tool for understanding and addressing mental health issues in a more personalized way.
It is a remarkable technology. It allows us to see the brain in action and gain insights that can guide treatment and improve outcomes.
Dr. Amen's insights on raising mentally strong kids were also incredibly valuable. It all starts with us, the parents, taking care of our own mental health and creating a loving and supportive environment for our children.
That's the foundation. And from there, it's about teaching them resilience, problem-solving skills, and healthy coping mechanisms. It's about giving them the tools they need to thrive.
I think one of the most important things we can do for our children is to instill in them a sense of love and respect for their brains.
I agree. And to teach them that they have the power to shape their own brain health and ultimately their future.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. What stood out to you the most?
I was struck by the sheer number of factors that can impact brain health.
Yeah.
It really highlights the need for a holistic approach, addressing all aspects of our lives, from nutrition and exercise to stress management and social connections.
It's like a reminder that our brains are intricately connected to every aspect of our being.
Exactly, and that's what makes this journey so fascinating.
Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up part 1 of our deep dive. Join us for part 2, where we'll delve deeper into specific strategies Dr. Amen recommends for optimizing brain health and explore some of his more unconventional ideas.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll uncover even more actionable tips and insights to help you love your brain back.
See you there.
So welcome back to our deep dive into brain health with Dr. Amen. We've been exploring his Bright Minds acronym.
Right, all those risk factors.
Those 11 risk factors.
That can impact our mental well-being.
Yes, and what I find so encouraging is that Dr. Amen doesn't just point out the problems.
Right.
He offers a ton of practical advice on how to combat them.
Yeah, to love our brains back to health.
It's about moving from that place of worry to a place of action.
Right.
Realizing we have more control over our brain health than we might think.
Absolutely.
And that even small changes can make a significant difference.
One thing that stuck with me was his advice to start each day with a positive affirmation.
Oh, yeah.
Like something as simple as telling yourself, today's going to be a great day.
It's amazing how that simple act of setting a positive intention can prime your brain to look for the good throughout the day.
All right.
It's not about ignoring challenges. It's about approaching the day with a more optimistic and resilient mindset.
It's like setting the tone for your day, a mental shift towards the positive.
Exactly.
And on the flip side, he recommends ending the day with a gratitude practice.
Oh, yes.
He calls it the what went well today exercise.
Oh, I love that one.
It's so easy to get caught up in the things that went wrong,
It is.
but this kind of forces you to focus on the positive.
Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, he suggests reviewing your day hour by hour.
Okay.
and identifying the things that made you happy, even the smallest things.
It's like a mental highlight reel
Yes,
of all the good stuff.
it is. I'm going to try that tonight.
I think you'll be surprised how much good there is to find in each day, even the challenging ones.
Oh, absolutely.
Dr. Amen also seems to be a big believer in the power of tiny habits.
Oh, is he even mentioned working with B.J. Fogg?
Oh, yeah, the author of Tiny Habits.
Yes, to develop those brain-boosting micro-actions that can be easily incorporated into daily life. Well, one of my favorites is the good for your brain or bad for it game.
Okay.
It's a fun way to raise awareness about the choices we make throughout the day.
You mean just asking yourself, is this good for my brain or bad for it, before you do something?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It sounds simple, but it really works. It brings consciousness to your choices and helps you make those tiny shifts that add up over time.
And you can even play it with your kids.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great way to get kids thinking about brain health in a fun and engaging way.
I love that idea.
Yeah, it turns healthy choices into a game,
Right.
which makes it much more appealing,
Especially for kids.
especially for kids.
Another one of Dr. Amen's favorite tiny habits is the love it, love me back rule.
Oh, yes.
Can you explain that one?
It's all about being mindful of what you put into your body before you eat or drink something. You ask yourself, do I love it? And does it love me back?
So it's about making choices that nourish and support your brain,
Exactly.
not just satisfy a craving in the moment.
Right. It's about thinking long-term about the cumulative effect of our choices on our brain health.
That double cheeseburger might taste amazing now,
Right.
but will it love you back tomorrow?
Probably not. It's a good reminder to think beyond that instant gratification.
Right.
And consider the bigger picture.
It's about prioritizing our brain health,
Absolutely.
recognizing that it's an investment in our overall well-being.
It is.
I want to circle back to SPECT imaging.
Okay.
We touched on it before, but I'm curious to hear more about how it can be used to personalize brain health.
Yeah.
It seems like such a powerful tool.
It really is. SPECT imaging allows us to see the brain in action.
Right.
To identify areas of overactivity, underactivity, and even areas of damage.
Wow.
This information can be incredibly valuable for understanding and addressing a wide range of conditions.
He mentioned that former Major League Baseball player
Oh, yeah.
who was struggling with alcohol abuse and suicidal thoughts.
Right. And his SPECT scan revealed significant damage.
Right, likely from repeated concussions and alcohol use.
Yeah, and seeing those images was a turning point for him.
Wow.
It helped him understand the severity of the problem.
Yeah.
And motivated him to make changes.
And what's amazing is that after just 2 months of following Dr. Amen's brain health program, his brain already showed significant improvement.
I know, it's incredible, isn't it?
Want a follow-up scan?
It's a powerful example of the brain's ability to heal,
Right.
even after significant damage.
It highlights the importance of early intervention.
Yes,
And the remarkable plasticity of the brain.
it really does.
So SPECT imaging isn't just about identifying problems.
No.
It's also about tracking progress and seeing how the brain responds to treatment.
Exactly. It's like having a feedback loop,
Okay.
allowing us to fine-tune treatment plans and monitor the effectiveness of various interventions.
Now, I know SPECT imaging isn't without its critics.
Right.
Some argue that it's not a reliable diagnostic tool and that it can be overused or misinterpreted. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's true that SPECT imaging is a relatively new technology, and there's always more research to be done.
Right.
However, Dr. Amen has been using it for over 30 years and has published numerous studies demonstrating its clinical utility.
And he emphasizes that it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Exactly.
It's not meant to be used in isolation,
Right.
but rather as part of a comprehensive evaluation.
Absolutely. It's a tool that can provide valuable insights,
Right.
but it needs to be used responsibly and in conjunction with other diagnostic methods.
Let's talk about brain health as we age.
Okay.
Alzheimer's disease is a growing concern,
It is.
and it's something that a lot of people worry about.
They do.
So what can we do to protect our brains as we get older
Yeah.
and reduce our risk of cognitive decline?
So Dr. Amen advocates for a proactive approach starting early and continuing throughout our lives. He believes that many cases of Alzheimer's are preventable, and by addressing those bright minds, risk factors,
Right.
we can significantly reduce our risk.
So it's not just about waiting until we experience memory problems.
No,
It's about taking steps now to build a resilient brain.
that's right. It's about building what's called cognitive reserve,
Okay.
so that even if some brain cells start to decline,
Right.
we have a robust network of healthy cells to compensate.
So what are some of the key things we can do to build this cognitive reserve?
Well, all the bright minds principles apply,
Mm-hmm.
but some are particularly crucial for brain aging.
Okay. Like what?
Exercise, for example, is essential.
Yeah,
and it's never too late to start.
right.
Studies have shown that regular physical activity can actually increase brain volume and improve cognitive function.
So those walks in the park aren't just good for our physical health.
No,
They're a brain booster, too.
absolutely. And it doesn't have to be strenuous exercise.
Right.
Even moderate activity like brisk walking, gardening, dancing can make a difference.
What about diet? Are there certain foods that are particularly beneficial for brain health?
Yes, Dr. Mn recommends a Mediterranean-style diet, which is rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, and lean protein. He also emphasizes limiting processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats.
Right, all those things that can contribute to inflammation
Exactly.
and other brain-damaging processes.
Yes, so it's about feeding our brains with the nutrients they need to function optimally.
And let's not forget about staying mentally active.
Well, that's important.
Our brains, just like our bodies, need to be challenged to stay sharp.
Use it or lose it.
Right, exactly.
Dr. Mn recommends engaging in activities that challenge your brain, like learning new things, reading, doing puzzles,
Oh, okay.
even playing brain games.
That's like a mental workout.
It is.
I can definitely see the benefit of keeping our minds active and engaged.
Absolutely. And social connection is also crucial for brain health.
Oh, interesting.
Studies have shown that people who are socially isolated are at increased risk of cognitive decline.
So it's not just about what we do individually, it's also about nurturing those social connections.
Yes.
And staying engaged with others.
That's right. Human connection is essential for our overall well-being, including our brain health.
Dr. Amen also talked about the importance of addressing mental health issues like depression and anxiety
Yes.
as part of a brain-healthy lifestyle.
He did.
Why is that so important?
Well, mental health and brain health are intimately connected.
Okay.
Conditions like depression and anxiety can have a detrimental effect on the brain, over time increasing the risk of cognitive decline and other issues.
So it's not just about treating the symptoms, it's about understanding the underlying causes
Exactly.
and addressing them holistically.
And often those underlying causes are related to the bright mind's risk factors we've discussed.
Right.
Chronic stress, for example, can lead to inflammation, hormonal imbalances, sleep problems,
Right.
all of which can negatively impact brain health.
It's like a domino effect.
Yes,
One area impacts another and it all circles back to the brain.
that's a great way to put it. And that's why Dr. Amen emphasizes a holistic approach to brain health,
Right.
addressing all aspects of a person's life and well-being.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious about the more unconventional aspects of Dr. Amen's approach.
Oh, yeah.
He talked about hyperbaric oxygen therapy and neurofeedback.
He did. Those are definitely some of the more cutting-edge therapies he incorporates into his practice.
Like, what exactly is hyperbaric oxygen therapy?
So it involves breathing pure oxygen in a pressurized chamber.
Okay.
This increases the amount of oxygen that gets to your brain and body,
Wow.
which can promote healing and improve cognitive function.
So it's like giving your brain a supercharged oxygen boost.
Exactly. And it's been shown to be beneficial for conditions like traumatic brain injury, stroke,
Wow.
and even autism.
And what about neurofeedback? That sounds pretty futuristic.
It is a fascinating technology. Essentially, it involves monitoring your brainwave activity in real time
Okay.
and providing feedback to help you train your brain to function more optimally.
So you can actually see your brain waves and learn to control them.
That's the idea.
That's wild.
It's been used successfully to treat conditions like ADHD, anxiety, and insomnia.
It sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
I know, but it's real, and it's showing promising results.
Yeah.
It highlights the incredible power of the brain to change and adapt, even in adulthood.
This is all so fascinating. I feel like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible when it comes to brain health.
The field is constantly evolving,
Right.
with new discoveries and therapies emerging all the time.
It's an exciting time to be exploring brain health, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And the more we learn,
Right.
the more empowered we become to take charge of our own brain health and well-being.
I think that's a great place to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
So we're back for the final part of our deep dive into brain health with Dr. Amen.
Lots to think about, right?
Yeah, we've covered so much from those sneaky risk factors he calls bright minds
Yeah.
to the potential of actually seeing your brain with SPECT imaging.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
I know there's been a lot to unpack.
There has, but I think the biggest takeaway for me is that we have so much more control than we realize when it comes to our brain health.
I completely agree. It's easy to feel like,
Well,
we're just stuck with whatever we're born with.
or circumstances.
Yeah, like we're at the mercy of our circumstances.
Right. But Dr. Amen really emphasizes that we can make choices every single day that support our brain's well-being.
And it's not about like becoming some kind of brain health guru overnight, right? It's those small, sustainable changes that add up.
Exactly, those tiny habits.
Speaking of tiny habits, like that good for your brain or bad for it game,
Oh, yeah.
it's such a simple concept, but it really brings awareness
It does.
to your choices throughout the day.
It's a fun way to kind of shift your mindset towards making those brain-healthy choices.
Exactly. And for those who are facing more serious challenges,
Yeah.
like that athlete that Dr. Ammon was talking about, SPECT imaging can really be a game changer.
It can.
It's like having a personalized roadmap for your brain,
Yeah.
helping to figure out what's really going on and then how to treat it.
It's not a magic solution,
Right.
but it offers a level of insight that can be so valuable.
Especially combined with that holistic approach.
Absolutely.
I'm really fascinated by some of those more unconventional therapies that he talked about, like hyperbaric oxygen therapy and neurofeedback they sound.
They're a little out there.
Yeah, like futuristic almost.
Right. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
Yeah.
You're breathing pure oxygen in a pressurized chamber.
It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's been shown to have real benefits for traumatic brain injury stroke.
It's amazing.
It is.
And the neurofeedback with its real-time brainwave monitoring. It's like you're training your brain in real time.
It's like taking the driver's seat of your own brain.
It really highlights how amazing the brain is that it can adapt and change throughout our lives.
That's what makes this field so exciting.
It does. There's always more to learn.
Right. And the more we learn, the more we realize we can take control.
Dr. Ammon's work really shows how important it is to get help early on.
Especially with things like ADHD.
Yeah, and childhood trauma.
Yeah. Addressing those issues early on can really set someone up for success.
Exactly.
It's like creating that solid foundation for lifelong brain health.
And we can't forget about all those things we do every day that impact our brain.
Right. Our lifestyle choices, diet, exercise, sleep, stress management.
Social connections.
All those things play a huge role in how our brains function.
It's like a symphony.
Yeah.
Each part contributing to the overall,
harmony.
of our brain health.
So what can our listeners do starting today to love their brains back?
Well, I think it comes down to awareness, action, and just being open to learning. Become aware of those bright minds risk factors and start making small changes in your life.
So like trying those tiny habits that we talked about.
Exactly.
Moving your body every day.
Yeah. Getting enough sleep, eating those brain-healthy foods.
And don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need it. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's so many resources and therapies out there.
It's important to remember that brain health isn't a one-and-done kind of thing.
It's a journey.
Yeah. It's something we need to keep working on throughout our lives.
Absolutely. An ongoing process of learning, experimenting, finding what works best for you.
Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into brain health.
I think so.
Thank you for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
Remember, a healthy brain is a happy brain, and it's never too late to start loving your brain back.
Absolutely.